Hello and welcome to the Inside the Birds pregame show. I'm Geoff Mosher with Adam Caplan, and of course we got with us Greg Cosell to help break down the tape of the Eagles and their opponent. And their opponent is Sunday night at the Link, the Detroit Lions, in a game of NFC powerhouses, as this could threaten the balance of power in the conference, as the Eagles are 7-2 coming off of a win against the Packers. You may have heard it was a 10-7 win, and the Lions are coming off a thrashing 44-22 of the Commanders. They come in at 6-3. And fellas, I got to start with this. One thing I find very interesting about this game that has nothing to do with X's and O's, but really just kind of where the Lions mentality is that most teams, I think you guys would both agree, you talk to coaches, you talk to players all the time, most teams treat every game as one of 17. Doesn't matter who we're playing, doesn't matter what the schedule says. I don't have anything circled on my calendar. The Lions have been very candid that they have had this game circled on their calendar, that this is a measuring stick game for them, and they clearly, Adam, you could tell, they feel robbed by the injuries last year that put them in a position to lose to the Commanders in the playoffs and never play the Eagles and give their best shot.
Yeah, and the last two times that they played the Eagles, they remember the Eagles had in 22 that crazy 38-35 game.
Yep.
And in Campbell's first year, the Eagles absolutely embarrassed them at Detroit 44-6. So yeah, I mean it's and the Eagles, by the way, hold the all-time series, but it's tight, 18-16-2. But overall, yeah. And now it's funny, Geoff, they were snake bitten by injury against Washington. Well, guess what? We're talking about the playoff game, not last week. They're injured again. I don't know what it is with their secondary. We'll get to the injury report later, but it's just ridiculous. 2 straight years. They're severely beat up in the secondary.
Yep, beat up in the secondary. The big question will be, can the Eagles with their passing game actually exploit the injuries in the secondary? Greg, the Lions brought back most of the players, a lot of the players from last year's team. You know, you spent a lot of time watching tape of the Lions last year. Did you feel at any point that, you know, and obviously they were losing guys injury after injury, but did you feel at any point that they were the best team in the NFL?
Oh, possibly, yeah. I mean, when their offense is clicking, it's a really, really good offense. I mean, obviously, it starts with 2 things, the run game and protection, because Goff's obviously not a guy that's going to give you a playmaking dimension, but he's, as quote-unquote pocket quarterbacks go, which is what he is, he's definitely very much near the top of the list in the league, but he needs to be protected. They've certainly got speed. They've got 2 players that have terrifying speed on their offense in Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, so they need to be treated as such. Defensively, I like their front, but they've had, obviously at corner, they've had some significant issues, and that's been a problem because when their safeties are healthy, and I guess Joseph is not healthy, correct?
He's out.
Joseph and Arnold are out.
Yeah. When their safeties are healthy, I mean, Branch and Arnold are really 2 good safeties, and Branch is very versatile. He can play slot corner as well, which he's done with Joseph being out. But that's where I think, the concerns lie with them. When you look at the overall team they're going to put out there this week, the concern lies with their corners. But offensively, if they protect, they can be really good on offense.
Well, it's going to be a great game. I would say this is one of 2 NFC powerhouse matchups, because obviously we know that the Rams and Seahawks are playing each other, and those are 2 7-2 teams, and injuries will play a part. Weather could potentially play a part. Adam, Tropical Storm Caplan, we haven't had a report from you in quite a while. What's the weather looking like at the Link on Sunday?
It may rain overnight, but that's not going to matter. We're talking about Saturday into Sunday. The big deal is the wind. The gusts between like 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock, anywhere from 25 to 30 miles an hour. That's going to be the issue the entire game. Does it slow down at all where they could pass?
How will it be at 9:47 though? That's what I want to know.
Hang on. Let me put it in chat GPT. Hang on. They don't know, so they couldn't.
You had to ask, Greg. Now we're going to get that.
Yeah, exactly. But
so it's going to be very
a factor. But by the way, we had a couple of people ask us this, Greg, and I know it's hard. I mean, sometimes you can't. Do you notice when you watch the tape? Do you notice the wind being any? I know it's hard to tell sometimes. When people kept asking us, we were like, I don't know about the wind. Did it impact? Monday night?
I mean, no, not when I, again, I don't really. I mean, I notice it watching games live, let's say on field goal attempts, but I don't notice it watching the tape.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now that's a concern. And that, Jeff, from going to that stadium 100 times or more that you've been, those crosswinds sometimes at the link are crazy. So we'll see. It's definitely concerning.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying to me because the last thing I want to do is see a repeat of both coaches trying to hide their quarterbacks or offense, not throw the ball. when you've got a game that's going to have Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jameson Williams, you'd kind of like to see the ball go, get thrown a few times. But so hopefully the win won't be a deterrent for that. Let's talk about the injuries though, of which for the Lions there are many, but the Eagles, Adam, the Eagles got a great injury report coming out of practice this week, and Cam Jurgens, who is the biggest question mark of them all, is good to go. What else does the report tell us?
Yeah, so he has no game status designation. All the starters took all the reps on Friday. That boy, because think about it, with Lane Johnson, with his ankle injury, he put his Instagram picture of him being carted off. He's funny. I don't know. But anyway, Lane got cleared. Cam Jurgens is the big one. He got cleared. Nolan Smith, fine with the triceps. Tyler Steen had the little bit of the oblique. He's fine. He's good. He took all his reps. Darius Cooper, I know he doesn't really do a lot, but he blocks a little bit for the run game. He's fine. Remember, he re-injured his shoulder in the game. He's fine. The big one is Jacorian Bennett. Do they have him active for the game? He's on the roster. And that's, Jeff, the way these things usually go, the personnel department, they meet after Friday's practice. They meet after the walkthrough and decide who's going to be up and who's going to be down for the game. Bennett is fine physically now. This is 3 weeks plus the bye week that he's been healthy. At some point, this guy's got to play, but he's on the roster now. So you would think he'd be active for this game because they've made it clear they do not want Ringo playing on defense. So let Bennett be the top backup corner.
Well, we'll see. This is, and we'll get into this in the matchup, this is also the first time this week where you actually heard Vic Fangio discuss the possibility, like really be okay with it, moving Cooper to Gene.
He was asked.
To the outside. Well, he was asked, but he said, yeah. He said it's possible, and then he went, yeah. And then he did that in the context of speaking to how impressed he's been with Michael Carter II as a nickel.
I would think against this team, you could well see that because they want to put their three best corners out there, and DeJean certainly can play outside. Especially if you're going to play a lot of zone, where he's really good in zone, and Carter's really good in zone. So I'm sure that against this given team, that they feel a lot more comfortable with DeJean at corner and Carter in the slot than they would with DeJean in the slot and Jackson outside.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yep. Now let's look at the Lions, because the only person who's questionable on the Eagles 53-man is Willie Lampkin, the Garden Center, who was practices this week. Everybody else good to go. The Lions, Adam, you talked about it all week, that it could be a bad break for the Lions if Sam Laporta winds up being out, and it turns out he is out with the back injury.
Yeah, he didn't even work.
Out. It's a definite.
Yeah, Laporta's out. He didn't practice all week. It'll be Brock Wright, one of the highest paid backup tight ends. He's a wide tight end, which means in line. But Greg, what did you know about his high school football?
Brock Wright was I think he came out of Texas. I'm not sure, but I believe that he was a big time recruit. I think he went to Notre Dame initially.
He did. Yep.
And obviously did not put up huge numbers as a receiver. And in the NFL, obviously has not been a number one tight end, but he is not an unathletic player. I'm not suggesting he's going to step in and do what Laporta does, but I don't think I don't want to say that they're not going to change their offense. They're probably not going to call exactly the same routes, but he is not, Adam, one of those big, stiff tight ends that can't move.
Okay.
He can run routes and catch the ball.
And Jeff, it'll be Ross Dwelly, who's a journeyman wide tight end. If you follow the league closely, he was with the Niners for numbers of years, and then with Atlanta. So they'll back up that just obviously changes the way things go there. And then Penny Sewell didn't work on Friday. He's got an ankle injury. I believe that was more preventative, but we'll see how pregame warmups go with him. He's listed as questionable.
Right.
That would be a big deal, by the way.
Yeah, because it would have. I'm kind of thinking that would be the guy who looks like he's 50, Dan Skipper, but he's probably only in his early 30s. Jeff,
Yeah.
It would be Skipper, but
Yeah.
Sewell's a really good player, so that would
Yeah.
be a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. Now, defensively, Jeff, it's all about their secondary. It's just I'm not sure what it is, why they can't keep guys healthy. But the good little bit of good news, though, head coach Dan Campbell indicated he didn't think DJ Reed would be ready this week, but he did start working this week.
Mm-hmm.
He worked limited Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. He sounds like he needs another week, but his list is questionable, which means he's got a chance. And then this just happened on Thursday. Meek Robertson got hurt with a hamstring. He did work on Friday. He's supposedly a game day decision. Greg, has he been playing outside this year because of the injuries?
He's played both, but when the injuries have occurred, he's gone outside. Yes.
Yep. And I remember talking to Paul Gunther, our friend who used to be the Raiders D coordinator. He loved him because he's so smart and physical as a nickel, and that's really the way the Raiders drafted him. But Jeff, right now, when you really look at it, the reality is with Terrion Arnold out.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know from talking to the Lions over the years, I know, and Greg's not wrong. He's definitely right. Branch could play nickel. He's a safety who could play nickel. They always thought he could play corner. Like they thought he's that talented. But the problem is they have so little depth left because Thomas Harper, I believe, the guy they claimed off the Raiders starts for Joseph.
Well, he's playing safety right now.
Yeah, right. No, I'm just saying he fills in for Joseph. So right now it's going to be former Temple star Rock Ya-Sin.
Yeah.
And if Robertson's out, Jeff, it's another journeyman, Arthur Millette, who's been on, I think, 6 or 7 teams. That's pretty much all they have left.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Millette is he's a slot, and that's pretty much what he's played his whole career. But they're going to be stuck. Someone's going to have to play on the outside.
I know. Oh, there's one more guy, and he did play a little bit last week. And it's now if they decided to move Branch to corner, Jeff, I'm just putting it out there. Old friend Avonte Maddox could do it. Play nickel. Could play nickel.
Hey, it's Geoff Mosher. And if you have a family and kids at home like me, you always want them to be fully protected. That's why I'm thrilled to be a Simply Safe customer. And our house is equipped with the most technologically advanced alarm system you can get. If you could actually stop someone from breaking into your home before they got inside, why wouldn't you? Traditional security systems only react after a break-in. But Simply Safe is different because it stops crimes before they happen with Active Guard outdoor protection. Their AI-powered cameras detect threats while they're still outside your home, and they alert real security agents. These agents take action while the intruder is still outside and confront the intruder to let them know they're being watched on camera and police is on the way. And that's how you stop a crime before it's committed. There's no long-term contracts or hidden fees. You can cancel anytime, and it comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Try it and see the difference for yourself. Do not miss out on Simply Safe's biggest sale of the year, 60% off. Our listeners get 60% off a Simply Safe home security system at simplysafe.com/bird. That's simplysafe.com/bird.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people all over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schiller, make sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
Yeah, again, this is if Amik Robertson can't.
Yes, if everyone's out, if they run out of players, yes.
Right. And
if Robertson can go, he'll play on the outside with Ya-Sin.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure.
By the way, your friend Brock Wright is also on the injury report, questionable with an ankle.
Yeah, they think he'll play. By the way, the indication is they do believe he could play.
Right. And one guy who we should mention because he's not on the injury report because he's on IR, which was a loss for them, was their right guard. Or right guard Christian Mahogany, right?
Yes. And did you see who's starting for it?
Yeah, a former Eagle, Coyote Awosika. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes.
It's Oshika.
Oshika.
Is it?
Thank you.
Greg, wow, Greg with the right. Good. Did you look that up? No, good job.
You can't get Brett Toth's you can't get Brett Toth's name right, but you get his name right.
I did a film piece this week, and I had to narrate it, and he was in it. So
okay.
Oh wow!
So I had to pronounce it correctly.
What are the chances? No, but could you tell us what the film piece is on? Is it?
It was a wham trap run by Jameer Gibbs.
Nice. Is that for the matchup show?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
Awesome.
See, how about that, Jeff? How about
That's
that
right.
little breaking news?
That's
nice.
right. Be sure
Oshika.
Be sure to catch the NFL matchup show with Greg Cosell and Sal Palantonio and former What, Colts defensive back, Darius Butler?
Patriots, Colts, and Panthers.
Right. UConn? Did he go to UConn? Am I crazy?
He did.
All right. Good stuff. So Bristol must be a home team. Well, you guys don't do it in Bristol. Never mind.
No.
Either way. So Mahogany is on IR, and it's
Yeah.
Straw, the second round pick from last year, back on IR. So they're missing someone. Levi on Wazurki, their defensive lineman. So once again, the Lions missing some critical guys on injured reserve as well. But they've been battling without those guys to begin with. So that's the position that both teams are in. Great health for the Eagles. We'll see what their run offense will look like with Cam Jurgens back at center if they can find some life there. But I want to start off this breakdown show really talking about the Lions offense first versus the Eagles defense, because honestly, both of them underwent some I think significant changes last week in different ways. The Eagles got Jalen Phillips and played him a lot. And as we noted in Inside the Tape with Greg Cosell, his breakdown showed that Vic Fangio went back to playing more too high, more zone, only blitzed a handful of times, 9%, second lowest blitz rate in the league, which we all think is how he would like to continue. And on the other hand, Greg, Dan Campbell took over play calling for the Lions. He took it away from John Morton, who he had hired from the Broncos to replace Ben Johnson, and did some different things with that offense as well. When you watched the Lions against the Commanders, taking into account that the Commanders are all beat up and not very good, did you notice the Dan Campbell impact on it?
I mean, I didn't necessarily notice a lot, and I'm sure there were tweaks, but I mean, one thing you did notice is the ball seemed to go to Jameson Williams more than in previous games. So that obviously was something that they felt they wanted to get done. Williams can play inside, he can play outside, but when you have a weapon like that, you'd like to get him the football. It just seemed like the ball went to him more than it had in previous weeks, and that's a big deal. He's a very explosive athlete.
All right.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, to your point also, the data shows that they played him wide outside last week more than Morton had been doing through the first 7 weeks, where, as you mentioned, he was alternating between inside and outside. And coincidentally, or maybe not, you never know, it's just 1 week, but he also had his most yards after the catch last week than he had all year long.
Yeah, and everything is – see, the thing about one game like that is you don't know if it's opponent specific or if that's something that they want to get done. You just don't know the answer to that question.
Right.
But to me, when I watch their offense, I think that they want to start with the run game. I mean, that's kind of their foundation. And I think, they have two backs that they use. Gibbs obviously has great explosiveness and speed. Montgomery is much more the grinder. But that's where they want it to start. Can they run the ball against the Eagles? I guess we're going to find out, because I think they're going to try. And if the wind is an issue, I think they'll try for sure.
How did they run the ball? 11 personnel, under center, 2 tight ends. I mean, we know Laporta will be out, so that might change things a little bit. But they go jumbo
under center.
They go jumbo too, right? They started that whole.
And they do. Thing. Yeah, they do. They do. Now again, if Sewell cannot play and Skipper's the right tackle, we'll see how much jumbo they might do. But when Sewell's in there, Skipper does come in, and they'll play 6 O-line personnel at times. They're kind of a fun run game to watch. I mean, they're a heavy outside zone and run team that, they run more zone concepts than anything. It's funny. Last week, they will be specific to the opponent, though. And that's why in the matchup show, I did the piece on Wham Trap, because it's a really good run against 4-man D lines that are penetrating. And that certainly fits what the Eagles are. But for the most part, they're an outside zone run team. They're a very high percentage doing that. They'll run duo, which is kind of a zone type concept, so that's sort of what their foundation is.
Greg, if you noticed any backs getting the Eagles at all in the pass game, because nothing offhand would stand out to me where it's been a problem. Maybe it's because of the opponent, because Gibbs is so dangerous in the pass game. That would concern me, because years ago, Jeff, the Eagles linebackers were so bad they'd get got, so to speak. Like you knew it if there was a good pass catching back, they have success. But I don't remember offhand anyone really getting the
Yeah. I mean, obviously Gibbs was a very good receiver out of the backfield. They do like to use him that way.
And Chase Brown had 7 catches, but he didn't only for 3 yards a catch.
Right. I mean, last week against the Commanders, they got Gibbs scored a touchdown on an angle route versus Jordan McGee, the linebacker. If you get Gibbs matched up on a linebacker and it's a man type deal, that's a tough deal. But I can't think this year of the Eagles really being.
Irving. Okay, Bucky Irving got him. Okay, he got him badly, 5 for 102, and a touchdown. He had. Well, here's what happened. He had a 70-yard touchdown.
Well, remember he got matched up on Jihad Campbell.
Yes,
right
down the left side.
That was the one. Okay.
Was that a late in the down play too, like a movement play? That was not a structured play.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, those plays obviously they count, but I mean that was not a case where they said, "Oh, let's run Irving on a go route down the sideline against Jihad Campbell." That's not what the play was.
Right. Kyron Williams got him for a touchdown, but only had 2 catches. I'm just looking at it. Yeah, there's nothing.
Williams touchdown, if I recall, was a bust. Wasn't that the one where he was wide open on the right side? Am I correct in that?
Which touchdown would that be?
Kyron Williams for the Rams.
Yeah.
I think it was. I think you're right about that. It was a little flick to the right side, and there was nobody there.
It was a bust. Yeah, there was no one there. Yeah.
It also feels like they haven't faced a whole lot of running backs
that are
dangerous in the backfield as well.
Other than Irving, really, to be honest with you.
I meant like beyond the ones we just talked about. Yeah.
I'm just. I mean, if you really look at it, and Josh Jacobs certainly is not explosive. He had 5 for 33, but he's not explosive.
Right. And the Vikings, the Giants, I mean, they were, Scatterboo got hurt, but it wasn't like a part of the game plan. You talked about Gibbs, and what we found, we talked about this a little bit before the show. Against the Vikings, he was asked to pass block, kept in on almost 50%.
Well, he wasn't asked to, he had to.
He was told to. My fault. He was told to. On 50%, almost 50% of the reps. And, interestingly, his whole season number was about 20% of being kept
15 out of 32 Goff dropbacks was, it's funny watching that tape. It reminded me, and this goes back years to the early 2000s, when Bill Belichick, when he played the Colts, would blitz not to sack or Manning, because Manning did not get sacked and would get rid of the football, but he blitzed to make Edger and James have to pass protect. So Edger and James could not release into a route. And that's what they did with Gibbs. They did not want Gibbs releasing into a route. So they created pressures where if they chose not to keep Gibbs in, then there'd be a free hitter at Goff. And there's no way you want free hitters at your quarterback. And certainly not Goff, because Goff's not going to avoid an escape. So therefore Gibbs, had to stay in and pass protect.
And did you say last week's game?
No, 2 weeks ago against the Vikings.
Gotcha.
Now, interesting, last week, he was at his season low for being kept in the block, and there were some blitzes on third down that the Commanders threw, but they were able to get the ball to Gibbs quickly into the edges or
and my guess is they were different kind of pressures, and it was just a different deal. It's not the same. Flores is a master of doing those kinds of things.
And Jeff, they could not run 2 weeks ago in the tough home loss against the Vikings. They just could not run the football for whatever reason. And then of course after that game, what happened is Dan Campbell took over the play calling.
Well, and the other thing too is keep in mind that the game plan for Flores was very much focused on Gibbs, because in the 2 games that they played last year, you know what Gibbs' numbers were in those 2 games that they played last year?
It sounds like it's going to be pretty big.
It had 400 total yards or something?
7 touches for 330 yards and 6 touchdowns.
What? 6 touchdowns in 2 games? What?
So the focus of Flores was to make sure Gibbs was not going to be
Wait, read those again.
Yeah.
47 for 330 and 6 touchdowns.
I mean, he had 20 total touchdowns last year, so that means he scored about a third of them in 2 games against their division rival.
How does that happen? That's incredible.
Wow. So you can understand why Flores wanted to make sure Gibbs would not be a big factor, and he wasn't.
Big reason why they won.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Vic is a completely different kind of defensive coordinator,
correct,
than both Dan Quinn and Brian Flores.
That is correct.
So I wonder the strategy here. He's just coming off a game where he didn't have to blitz at all, basically. Doesn't want to, love to play it too high, but it's a little tough when you're talking about a Lions team that has two really good running backs, can pound it up the middle, and also can throw some jumbo out there and sort of make you declare a little differently.
And also a Lions team, by the way, that if Sewell's healthy, has two pretty good tackles that can probably pass protect one-on-one. Now, I'm not saying that they'll win every rep. Jalen Phillips is a stud. I mean, no one wins every rep in every game. But
Right.
I mean, the Lions would probably feel pretty comfortable with Decker on the left side and Sewell on the right side, pass protecting one-on-one. Now maybe if it's 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 12, they might chip here and there. But I think in the overall, game plan schematics, they're not going to think that they have to help those guys.
Right. Boy, that really puts Jalen Phillips under the microscope in his second game because he got the best of Zach Tom, a pretty good right tackle for the Packers who was coming off an injury. Didn't look like he was his best, but you credit Phillips. But now Phillips has to line up against maybe the best offensive tackle in the league this year.
Well, Lane Johnson might disagree, but
I'm just saying, Penny's played pretty good. I mean,
yeah, he's a really good player.
Greg, real quick, didn't you tell us that Sewell his first year was not comfortable at right tackle?
He wasn't, because he played left tackle in college and he wasn't very good as a rookie.
Wow.
Because it's Adam, this. I know you talk to offensive line coaches that it's totally different. People don't realize that it's totally different. Different hand in the ground, different kick slide foot. Balance becomes a totally different issue with body control. Everything is different. It's not, that's why I love when people just automatically say for the draft, about tackles, oh, he'll be a guard. Well, that's not that. It's not that easy. Some guys can do it. Some guys can't. It's not that easy.
Right. Absolutely. Evan Neal has struggled. I mean, he struggled at everything. But I mean, good point is J.C. Latham. I mean, he had to play left tackle, right? His first few years.
His first year,
right? With the tight. Yeah. He's not a good left tackle. Is he playing better at right tackle when you watch?
Probably better, but not as well as they need him to play.
Yeah. But but back to Phillips. He comes under the spotlight. I mean, he was the catalyst to what the Eagles did defensively against the Packers. And his ability to generate pressure was a big part of what Vic was able to do. And now you have to wonder, can they get home? Can they stop the run? Can they do everything they want out of nickel and not declare Vic to have to blitz more? And
great point, because assuming weather is not an issue to throw the ball, to me, and one of the absolute keys in this game, and we're jumping around a bit, but I like when we do that because this way just certain things pop into your head. I think a big key in this game is, can they speed up Goff? It's great to get sacks. We know that. But can they speed Goff up? Because as I said earlier, he's one of those guys that if he's protected well, he's played a long time. He is what he is, and he's really good at it. And if you let him sit in the pocket and feel comfortable, get rhythmic and play the way he wants to play, he can eat you up. I mean, the guy's leading the NFL in completion percentage, 74%. He's got 20 touchdowns, only 3 picks. But you can speed him up if you get people around him. There's no question that that's being talked about. I guarantee Clint Hurt's talking about that. Yeah, Jeremiah Washburn's talking about that. They're talking all week. You know how coaches are. Hey, man, we pressure this guy, he's going to fall apart. That's why coaches talk. That's it's a macho world. It's a man's world. That's the way they talk. And I guarantee they're saying that. And there's some truth to that. But if he's comfortable, he can pick you apart.
Jeff, last week would be a perfect example. They never touched him. He never got sacked. He was too comfortable. And he will make some big time throws. You've shown on the matchup show, Greg, many times when I watch the show. Seam, because he's too much time.
He don't let him step as well as any quarterback in the league between the numbers in dig routes, in breakers. He's as good as there is in the league making those kinds of throws.
Make him uncomfortable. We've seen it when it's bad. When he's uncomfortable, it's bad because he can't move.
It can be. Yeah, it can be.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, he's great in the pocket, but you make a move, not great.
Hey, I still like a good night out, but I'm not always in the mood to drink, and that's why I looked for a great alternative, and I found one. It's called Soul's Out of Office Gummies. You get the same light, happy buzz, but you don't have the hangover. There's no sugar, and you don't get that awkward feeling the next morning. They help me unwind and ease into my evening without the alcohol or the next day fog. Soul is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Soul specializes in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance your creativity and relaxation. With 5 different strengths, you can tailor the dose to fit your vibe. From a gentle 1.5 milligram microdose to their newest 15 milligram gummy for a more elevated experience. They've also got a variety of products specifically designed to help you get a better night's rest, including Soul's top-selling sleep gummy, a fan favorite for deep, restorative sleep. So bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Soul today. Right now, Soul is offering our audience 30% off your entire order. So go to getsoul.com and use the code BIRDS, BIRDS. That's getsoul.com, promo code BIRDS for 30% off. Greg, when you watch what Vic's been doing at linebacker, alternating Jahad Campbell, Nakobe Dean getting more time. It's funny. Zach Blount's been playing fine, but man, he hasn't had one of those kind of like 15 tackles, 2 forced fall. It's been a couple of weeks.
And he hasn't had the impact plays he had a year ago.
Right.
But he's a really good player.
Oh, of course. What are you noticing a trend in how the interchanging is going on at off-ball?
And I tried to notice that. I don't, I don't. I mean, and I'm sure they're not doing it on a whim. All that stuff's game planned. Yep. I think that Dean played the first quarter, then Campbell came in to start the second quarter, and then it's hard to know, what they do after that.
Yeah.
But look, if Laporta was playing, I would say that you might see a little more Campbell, but with Laporta out, you may not.
Good point.
Yep.
Wonder if this is a game, because the Lions have so many weapons, where you keep Quinyon Mitchell on a boundary, or you try to match him up against Jamison Williams, because the fact that both Williams and Amon-Ra move around a lot might make that difficult. But Quinyon's been moving around. He's shown he can handle that. So I wonder.
Right, but move around when it comes to the receivers, Jeff, is they line up in the slot, they motion a lot. I mean,
right.
It's not just move around, they go from left to right.
Correct. Right. But I think Quinyon did play a few slot coverage reps against CD this year and against somebody else. So I mean, he showed he can do it.
But they're not normally, again, nothing's 100%. I hope people understand that. They're not normally like a static lineup where guys line up in one place, where this guy's the boundary X and he's going to be there. That's not the way the Lions play.
And Jeff, the key to me is, now again, depending on who starts, if they stick with Jackson at corner, if they do, based on them getting Jameson Williams finally have that breakout game, I mean, that's a matchup. I get it. Dan Campbell's, he did call plays in 2021 after he re-signed Anthony Lynn, but that was when they were 0-8. That's a long time ago. Williams wasn't on the team then.
Mm.
You have to look forward here and say, this is a matchup we want. We want to get Williams on Jackson somehow. That's an isolation matchup. I know that it's a little technical, but you can do that. That's the one that would worry me a little bit. And that's, to Greg's point, Vic, either he watches, and if Jackson's playing poorly, he pulls him and he makes that move, or he surprises us and goes with Coop, as you suggested at the top of the show. I wouldn't rule it out.
Just Amon-Ra St. Brown will line up both outside and inside. He's been super effective in the slot because he's been targeted 39 times in the slot, and he has 32 catches. That's a very high percentage. I think that's over 80%. So, but he's not just a slot guy, but he's very, very effective when he does work out of the slot.
What do you like so much about him, Greg? What makes him such a great player?
He's and I'll explain it more, but he's just a pro. He knows how to get into routes. He knows how to run routes. He knows how to get into voids and zones. He knows how to set up corners when it's man. He knows how to be a receiver because he's not an explosive athlete. What I'm just curious, what year did he come out?
Amon-Ra?
21, fourth rounder. Yeah, 21.
You know he's 21?
Yeah, positive, fourth rounder. Yep.
Okay, hold on. I want to look up what I said about him. I'm very.
You remember his dad, John? It was the bodybuilder.
Yeah.
What college did he go to? I forgot.
Amon-Ra went to USC.
USC, that's right.
USC.
That's right.
Yeah. So here's what I said about him watching his college tape.
Okay.
And I watched him for 2 years, 2019 and 2020. So I saw a lot of him in college. I said Brown was a detailed, nuanced route runner who consistently showed both route quickness and separation quickness at the top of his route stem. He was featured both outside and in the slot and was used as a motion receiver, so he presents outstanding formation versatility at the next level. And that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's done.
Perfect fit.
Here's what I said. The more I watched St. Brown, the more I liked him as a complete receiver, lacking only true vertical speed. He has the look and feel of a volume receiver in the NFL. That's what I said about him coming out.
I would just add this. The belief with him was, because he's under 6 feet, is that
He was a 4th round pick.
right? Could he play outside?
Right.
Because that was the concern. That's why he dropped, despite everything that Greg said about how great his tape was. When you think the guy might only be a slot, you're not getting drafted in the first 3 rounds. That's just the way it is.
He was 5'11 and a half, 197, and only ran a 4.6, 140. So therefore, people with size and the speed just thought that he was not going to be an outside guy.
At the combine?
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That bad? Wow.
It's funny. It's funny that
he plays way faster than that, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny that they moved on from Golden Tate and eventually found Amon-Ra St. Brown, a similarly type of player, and how you can use a guy, and then the question marks.
He's just a professional receiver. He knows how to play receiver.
Yeah. All right, let's acknowledge this, that a bad day for the Lions offense is usually between 23 and 25 points. So if the Eagles are going to win this game and play good defense, they're still going to have to score, and I think we all agree 10 points will not cut it.
You don't see this as a 10-7 game, Jeff?
I don't. And you can tell me they're going to play it in a monsoon, and I don't think it's going to be a 10-7 game. I expect there to be more scoring. I don't know. You disagree, Adam? You kind of made a face like you think it could be.
I don't see it. I didn't think last game. I didn't think we 10-7. There's no way to know that, but I didn't think last week's going to be super high scoring. Look, if the conditions were pristine, Laporta's in there, different story. But
Laporta's not a huge part of their offense.
No, but he's a playmaker. But the big thing is, if the conditions were pristine, I might agree with you, because those corners need to be exploited of Detroit. That is like, this is one
you could have said the same thing about Green Bay, and the Eagles didn't do that.
I know, but it's
feel
even
like
better
week after week.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I feel like we say it week after week. Kind of come out throwing on that secondary.
But hang on. We kept saying this week after week last year, and then Hurts went off against Pittsburgh. We said, this is going to be the game. It wasn't. This was going to be the game. It wasn't.
Right.
And then he finally went off. So the thing is, the success of the pass game is so random, Jeff, for the second straight season. You can never figure out when it's going to happen.
Right.
It's next to impossible. How would you could be playing against high school corners. You just don't know when they're going to be able to be successful throwing the football. No idea.
That is absolutely true. All right. So this Eagles offense, Greg, how much do they have to worry about Aiden Hutchinson? How has he been this year compared to, coming back from the injury?
Yep.
Good. He's a load and a half. And they got a really good front, in my opinion. I mean, I like I love their linebackers. Campbell, Anzalone, Barnes is a really good overlooked player. Hutchinson, who's kind of an interesting guy. He's been with a number of teams, but every time I watch him, I think to myself, why isn't he with one team and why hasn't it worked? And that's Muhammad. He is bendy. He's explosive. He's one of those guys I don't understand why it's worked out. I don't know the guy.
Yeah.
I think really he came out of the U too. So he came out of a big school. But they got McNeil. They've got Reeder. I mean, they've got a good up front group. Their front seven, because by the way, they play more base than any team in the league. So their front seven is really, really good.
Yeah, he's been suspended before, and that may have something to do with it. But
Muhammad,
boy, Campbell loves him. He's a really good sub package rusher. Greg, would you call their front a 43 or 42, like 5'2"? Like what kind of front would you call them?
It's because the way they deploy Barnes that makes it kind of a hybrid, because Barnes can line up on the ball or off the ball, whereas Anzalone and Campbell are always off the ball.
What's funny, all 3 linebackers played every snap last week. That's why I asked, because they don't know. It's hard to figure out exactly what it is, but
Campbell's a really good player.
Jack Campbell has been, and the thing about Jack Campbell was, in addition to being a really good college player, they were looking to, when Brett Holmes and the group came in, they wanted to get super high characters. Something happened when they came over. There's a reason why they've been so bad for so long before Campbell. And
he's a super high character guy.
Right. And that's part of why they wanted Campbell. When some people say, why are you taking a linebacker in the first round? Well, now you know why. In addition to
Plus,
what
he
Greg
came
said.
out of Iowa, and there's a belief, which is probably true because I certainly don't know this, but just from people I talk to, that Iowa defensive players, based on their coaching staff at Iowa, are really advanced when it comes to the mental part of the game.
Okay, there you go.
Jeff, you probably are aware of that, being a Big Ten guy.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean, Riley, the zone concepts, the familiarity. It didn't take Cooper long, like it does take everybody else to figure out Vic's defense. The thing that I'm really interested about in this matchup is just sort of the fact that the Lions haven't played the Eagles in quite a while. I always feel like the teams that play the Eagles consistently, not just the division, but the Rams and playing the Packers, they always seem to remember, because I do think some of it is mental in the middle of the game, how the correct way to rush against Jalen Hurts is, which is don't go full throttle, don't get inside the tackle, don't let him get outside. And teams this year have done a good job, and most of them have seen Jalen Hurts. And the team like the Lions that can get upfield with those guys you mentioned quickly, you wonder their discipline at the start of the game. Will they remember? Because we saw at the Cowboys, even though they do play Hurts a lot, they have a lot of young pass rushers, and you saw them getting inside the tackles, and Hurts was able to run. And we haven't really seen Hurts running that much.
I was just going to add that. That's a great point, Jeff. That's a great point because Hurts has not used his legs this year the way we've seen him use them in the past. And you wonder if this might be a game. We keep wondering, hey, is this the game? Is this the game? But he really, you nailed it. He really hasn't been a big factor as a scrambler. The design run game has not really been used that much at all. I mean, I feel like I could count on one hand, putting aside tush pushes, the number of design runs that he's had over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Jeff, Warren asked that in our Patreon's chat this week on Wednesday. So there you go, Warren. Greg just answered it for you. It was a great question because thinking about it, because Hurts has been so devastating at times over his career running the ball on design runs. I usually say, Greg, you wouldn't know because the coaches aren't telling you, but it just seems surprising to me why they're not designing more runs for him this year. It seems like they're way down.
I mean, unless he's made it clear he doesn't want to do that. Maybe his body. Who knows? We don't know the answer to that.
Sure.
But we're not even seeing him scramble as much. I mean, how many times did we see him scramble on third downs where he just broke the back of a defense?
Yeah. Right. I think that's a direct result of the way teams have played him, though, and kept him inside the bubble and not gone full throttle up the field and giving him those lanes. But to your point, Adam, you saw that one of the staples of the Eagles offense, both of you guys, over the last 2 years, not this year, but more so last year and even the year before, was that quarterback draw with whether it was Kelsey or Juergens kicking out ahead and Hurts would run up the middle and get a lot of yards. They haven't done that a lot. And as soon as they did against the Packers weren't ready for it. Now, he fumbled. He got the ball punched out. But it
was a 12 or 13-yard gain before he fumbled.
It's an effective play that the Packers probably didn't see it all on tape this year. They may have remembered it from past years in retrospect, but not this year. So you just wonder, are there opportunities to pull out a few things here that they used to do well against a team that hasn't played them in 2 or 3 years, right? To kind of go back to that. I would like to see some of that. I think that would be good.
I just want to see what they're going to do with their pass game because last week it was almost non-existent. Obviously he threw the touchdown to Devonta Smith, which we broke down on Inside the Tape, and it was a beautifully designed kind of vertical high-low. We know the Barkley play was a bust, so that you almost have to push that aside. Yeah, it gives him yards, but it was a bust.
From design.
And that was not where the ball was meant to go based on the design of the play. They just really haven't had, a pass game in a strict sense where you see, other than splashes and flashes here and
there. Minnesota game, there were some.
Yeah.
Right.
But
just splashes. I agree. You're looking for like the most consistent game of the year. It would be helpful if it was this week.
Right. So, I mean, again, and people keep saying things like, well, they can't sustain the way they've been doing this. But, some people said that last year and they won a Super Bowl. And right now they're 7-2. So it's a very odd conversation to have because the tape tells you that their pass game is not very good.
Right.
But yet they're 7-2 and this seems to, and they win. So with that's indisputable. The record's the record.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Greg, you know this. No coach is going to come in Monday morning and say, we're fine. We won the game. We only scored 10 points, but we won.
No coach would ever say that. No coach
They
would
would.
say that if you win 50-0.
Jeff, remember we were talking about it in Sirianni. I like this line. He goes, "We're gonna beat ourselves up over the tape. This is something they have to beat up. You can't just score 10 points and feel good about it."
Yeah. I mean, you heard other people besides AJ Brown doing interviews this week in the locker room say that they've been frustrated with their inability to execute better. So yeah, they clearly have to figure something out.
They do. I mean, it's we'll see. I mean, but again, now they're playing the Lions. It's a Sunday night game. It's a tough place to play. Weather could be a factor. It kind of sets up really well for the Eagles. I mean, if you just look at it as an overview, it sets up well. If they were playing the way they're playing now and going to Detroit, you might think that, hey, they could lose 31-17, but they're playing in a place that's really hard to play with fans that have probably started tailgating now. And it's not going to be, it's going to be a little brisk. It's not going to be balmy. So it doesn't set up well for a team like the Lions.
No, although Detroit has the 8th ranked rush defense. They allow 94.
Oh, they do. You're right.
Yeah, they have a pretty good. I actually think, Greg, part of me thinks it's your logic is completely correct, but I almost look at it backwards. I almost think if you
tell my wife that once in a while,
if you give this offense, this Eagles offense that's struggling, another reason to not throw the ball and try to run the way to win and take the sale, I feel that just feeds into what they're not doing well. I honestly, as much as we've talked about Hurts's limitations at times, but also his strengths, I feel like the only way to get it going is to throw the ball. And I was surprised they didn't let him throw the ball more. I feel like this year he's made more, and actually the data backs it up. He's made more tight window throws this year and more between the numbers throws this year than any year past. So it's not like he's Tom Brady all of a sudden, but the point is the year that he's actually made a few strides in this, now you're going to go but
he's still of all the
weather and you're going to I don't know, I'm not going to do this,
But Jeff, of all the quarterbacks that have started every game, he still has the fewest attempts of any quarterback between 10 and 20 yards down, air yards between the numbers. So they don't really do that. And,
you got to crawl before you walk, Greg. You know what I'm saying? So he's making a little bit of strides, and I guess I would like to see, because I think nobody says AJ Brown is wrong with what he's saying. They may not like how he's expressing it,
of course,
but they got to get the ball to him, and that requires throwing the ball on first down even. And
I think we all probably know that while AJ Brown is not handling it the way most people would like it to be handled, and maybe some are tired of him, and that's fine. Fans, that's I mean, no fan likes players to complain. That's just the way it is. I guarantee within the building, he's not the only one saying this.
I am sure. He's just the only one with a Twitch video game that he says it on.
Right.
By the way, Jeff, you talk about, Greg talked about, it's a tough place to play, win and all that. The Eagles are 14-2, including playoffs over the last 2 years at home. And to be shorthanded like Detroit, trying to look it as we've said here, if the Eagles actually came out throwing, if the conditions allow it, talk about favorable matchups here. It's just the Eagles are really healthy on offense.
Yeah,
there's no question. My view of the quarterback position to some degree might be considered more old school. I totally understand the need to make plays with your legs. I've come around to that. But, no matter who you talk to, young coaches, old coaches, they'll tell you still have to throw it from the pocket. So therefore, I've always enjoyed watching Jared Goff play. But I could easily see in this game early on the Eagles getting a pass rush, Goff throwing a pick early. All of a sudden, the Eagles are up 10-0, and the whole game has a different feel. I could easily see
sounds like the Rams game, my friend.
I could easily see that happening.
Right. That's exactly how the Rams game started, and everything looked great. And then all of a sudden the game was, almost a field goal kick away from being lost. But that's the kind of season it's been for the Eagles. We have previewed this game. It's time to do what we do best. I know you've both put a lot of thought into a score and a game, player of the game prediction. Hey, Philly fans, game day is stressful enough. Parking, traffic, long lines. We've all been there. But when it comes to your cannabis, Camden Apothecary makes it easy. This is the dispensary for sports fans, just minutes outside of Philly with plenty of free parking. You'll be in and out fast, no hassle, no waiting. And they don't just care about convenience. Camden Apothecary is all about the guest experience. Their staff makes sure you feel taken care of every time you walk in. Plus, they carry only the best quality cannabis at the fairest prices. So whether you're stocking up for the tailgate, the watch party, or celebrating a big win, you know you're getting the good stuff without overpaying. They even show love to the community with specials for fans, students, service members, and healthcare pros. Camden Apothecary, top quality cannabis, great prices, and an experience made for Philly fans 21 and up. So we'll start with Adam this week. Adam, score, prediction?
All right. This was the one game where I had the conditions allowed at Laporta and all these injuries. I would have picked a high scoring game. I don't see that. The over-under total is 46.5, 46, depending which book you're looking at. Lions are 2.5 point underdog here. It's dropped, actually. At some books, it was 3.5.
He's stalling. He has no idea what he wants to say right now.
No. I'm just we should talk about the point spread and all that. But I like the Eagles to win this game. I like them to win it. We're going to go 20-13. Very low scoring.
Oh, that is an exceedingly low score.
You're your player of the game.
Who's your player
of the game?
Yeah, the
That's
kicker.
a good one. That's a good one, boy. And we don't have to do offense. We just pick one.
Oh, yeah, be bold. Pick a defensive player. We've done that before.
I'm going to go with Barkley here. Conditions are going to call for it, and I know the Lions have a very good front. Greg's outlined that, but the Eagles are healthy here. By the way, in the offensive line, it's going to go through Barkley this game.
All right. So 20-13 Eagles win. Saquon Barkley is the player of the game. Greg, something tells me you're going to have a completely opposite style of game.
No, I'm going to pick the Eagles. I just think that, it's I'm normally not like a home field guy. That doesn't factor into the way I do my work. But I just think it's a really difficult place to play. It's a night game. Weather could well be an issue. I think this D line is really coming on with the addition of Phillips, who's a true stud. Don't forget that they're playing with a rookie right guard, the Lions, and now a backup left guard. I'm going to pick the Eagles to win this game 24-17, and I'm going to pick Jalen Carter as my player of the game.
Oh, I like that.
And you're talking about Tate Ratledge, correct?
Tate Ratledge is the rookie starting right guard.
How's he playing? You notice it all?
I mean, I haven't studied him the way I should be studying him, so I'm being honest, but I did not love him coming out. I'll just tell you that.
You go to Georgia?
He went to Georgia.
Oh, so we're going to have Georgia on Georgia here with Carter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
We get that a lot in the NFL, especially when the Eagles are playing teams.
Because, it's going to be interesting. If they choose to slide their center, Glasgow, to Carter, you're going to get one-on-one on Oshika, who's a backup. And that's may not be an ideal world either.
No, so these matchups, Jeff, they feel the Eagles.
So I mean, that's my thought process. We'll see if I'm anywhere close to being right. As you can tell, Jeff, I actually thought about this one for a good minute and a half.
I'm starting to figure it out. You say this every week, but I don't believe you anymore.
Give him that gold star, will you?
All right. Well, fellas, I would like to make it a clean sweep just to make the people happy, but I'm not going to do that. I am picking the Lions to win.
What?
Yeah. Is it that crazy? They're a really good team.
Matchups, man.
You know what? I picked the Broncos to win, and you said they had the same reaction, and guess what? They won that game.
Go ahead. What do you got?
So I picked the Lions to win 26-17. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a real problem for CB2 and just a matchup issue for the Eagles. I think the Browns are going to come in. You can tell how motivated they are. This is a major statement game for them. They've said it. So I think they found something a little bit last week. I know it was a bad team, but this is not the best version of the Eagles, especially offensively. So I think the Lions are going to come out of here with a win. I will say, I think the Eagles are the better team on paper. I just think everything is about matchup and the time that you play a team. In 6 weeks from now or 7, 8 weeks, they play in the playoffs. I might have a totally different score, but right now I pick the Lions.
Somebody once said years and years ago, and I forget who said it, you don't play the game paper-wise.
Good call. I like that.
Who said that? I've not heard that one before.
Oh yeah, I forget. Someone said it. In like It was in a post-game interview. Like I can see the person saying it, and now I just can't place who it was.
Was it an NFL?
I'm going back like 30, 40 years, Adam.
Was
when I was
NFL
young at NFL Films.
It was Red Grange, Adam.
Right.
One-on-one interview.
It was Red Grange when I was on my way to the outhouse to go to the bathroom.
Maybe Jim Thorpe, one of those two guys.
Very good.
All right, that's great. That has been the Inside the Birds pregame show. We've talked about it. Now it's up for the Eagles and Lions to go play. And, of course, make sure you catch Adam and myself on the Inside the Birds postgame show. For Greg Cosell and Adam Caplan, I'm Geoff Mosher. Thanks for watching the Inside the Birds pregame show with Greg Cosell.